Emily Granville is driving. They promoted it extremely well. They've done a good. So it's a 10-lap race for these guys. Most of the other traffic races are 12 laps of
So welcome to the SMTA Citroen C1 Cup, the brand new championship for the SMRC, and a lot of these drivers brand new to motorsport. And imagine this being your first race. Look at these tricky weather conditions. It doesn't look like fun, does it? Ryan Smith is on pole position from Friendly Brunton, car 94 from car 13, 74 Emily Glanville is third, and 24 Kyle Grant lines up fourth. Stephen Morrison is alongside Tom Denham, with Ross Dunn and Greg MacArthur 7th and 8th. Glenn Alcock, Super Fast Scots, starts in 9th place with Kieran Preedy in 10th, and Kenneth Dock rounds out the 10-11 car field. So here we go, we've got the 5-second board already up for us here. These will be nervous drivers. This is the inaugural race for the C1 Cup here, and away we go. The SMTA Citroen C1 Cup is live for 2019, and it's a cracking start off the back of the grid. Down towards the first corner, Ross Dunn making up a couple of positions straight away there, but Ryan Smith will be the man who leads in towards Duffy's Dip, and he'll try and hold that through as much as possible. Emily Glanville slotting up into second place here. And Emily, with a bit of racing history, it must be said. She has done a couple of Celtic Speed Mini Cooper Cups, and she's raced the C1s down at Rockingham as well in an endurance event, so she might have a little bit of a heads up here. But just look at how Smith is streaking away at the front of this one and heading up the back straight. These tricky weather conditions, and this is your new form of budget motorsport the SMRC are bringing to you for 2019. £6,500 they reckon for the whole thing thrown in, and well, racing won't get much cheaper than that as we go on board heading towards the hairpin here. Tricky weather conditions, rain lights all on these cars, lights on and rain lights on as we fan out on the brakes for the first time of asking. Look at the lead that Smith's got over Glanville as they go through, and there's almost a little bit of rubbing further down. Looks like Morrison involved in that, and we look for Glenn Alcock, our Super Fast Scots, editor, just that further down. But Ryan Smith in the 94 car streaking away from Glanville as they go up over the crest off the hill. And where has Ross Dunn in the 888 car got himself to? He started down in about 6th, 7th place, got himself up, and it's a big manoeuvre in towards Duffy's Dip as well. Dunn, we're trying to see, started 7th, and that 888 car already wading its way back up through the mid-pack of it just now. In towards McIntyre's Glanville, just kisses the curb there as we see the 24 car of Kyle Grant going through shot just now. Great to see so many novice crosses on these cars, and Kyle Grant with a headlight actually not working in that car, and that won't be too good. Stephen Morrison in there as well, Tom Denham as well. We can see Tom making his way up the back straight just now, but Glanville a little bit wide going through Clark Corner there, and she's going to have to watch with that one because some drivers don't need an invitation, that's for sure. Straight up the inside, wet or dry, that will be Emily will have to watch with that one. You don't want to leave her cars at the apex of the corner, but this man streaking away at the front, looking pretty good so far as Glanville has to cover the inside line. And look at that little bit of bumping further down. Was that the 888 car? I believe it was. Ross Dunn making his presence feel very much well and truly further down the field, car 31. Stephen Morrison also coming under the cosh of our camera car up the main straight just now, and over the crest of these weather conditions deteriorating if anything. The mist thankfully has lifted from this one. The SMT Citroen C1 Cup racers side by side over the crest of Duffy's for the first ever race meeting. Brave stuff. But Stephen Morrison deciding better off that one than trying to hang on the outside of Duffy's Dip. There's the 888 car of Ross Dunn just now in 4th place, just going down and up towards the chicane. Over the crest of the hill and up the back straight they go. Wipers very much on these cars just now, trying to see where they can go, and so far everybody behaving themselves, but nobody having anything to ask Ryan Smith for. Ryan Smith just disappearing at the front of this one. Finley Brunton up into 2nd place now by the looks of things. And Emily Glanville just dropping down to 3rd place as they make their way towards the hairpin. Glanville side by side with Dunn as they come in towards the hairpin. The Minimax car breaks that a little bit later. There's a big damp puddle on the inside there, but she manages to get the car stopped and pulled up. and not have any problem as they come through the corner and up the main straight now. Chalking off the laps here. Past the circuit, off as we go, and over the crest of the strike off another lap. Fastest lap of the race still far, as up the inside, side by side as they go underneath the bridge. That's a brave one, that's Morrison trying to go on the inside there, but just feeling on that one down this. In fact, no way, up the inside over the apex curb, and a huge amount of commitment there from Morrison to make that one work. Stephen Morrison in car 31 starting to do a little bit of a fight back here as we make their way down through Butchers, the twisty part of the circuit. This is where these cars will really excel through the twisty part. They'll be able to carry quite a lot of corner speed in the damp as well. Almost like a Mini, they've got a wheel on each exact corner of the car. And this grid is surely only going to grow throughout the year, the SMTA C1 Cup. Race number 1 for these guys, a 10-lap race, guys and girls should say. But fastest lap of the race, let me get back to that one just now. It's Ross Dunn, 888, the fastest lap of the race, a 1:14.5 as Glanville up the inside. Can't you get that one stopped? Struggling a little bit there. And Dunn tries to cut back on the inside, but he has to watch there because 24, Kyle Grant, was making manoeuvres towards inside of him. So don't want to leave too much of a gap on the inside there, too much room. Somebody will be through at the end, that's for sure. Smith still leads in the number 94 car. Over the crest, off the hill, pushed hard though by Finlay Brunton. And it could all just unfold at any minute. That's what these races are like. In towards McIntyre's. Through the apex, Ryan Smith making this one look very good just now. A little bit of news on Finlay Brunton. Well, his sister actually is a sidecar passenger, Hannah, and a very good one at that. So there's racing very much in the family. As Dunn chases down Glanville and just manages to hold off Kyle Grant just now. But Stephen Morrison just off the back of them. And we've also got Tom Denham in 27. Up the back straight they go, through Clark Corner. This bunch all starting to get close together now. Glanville, a little bit of a cork in the bottle just now, but just finding their way. There's not been a lot of track time for these guys in the C1s. They really have, they've done a little bit of testing, but everybody's kept their powder very much well and truly dry. As into the hairpin comes Glanville, positions herself in the middle of the road. Look at Grant up the inside, that's a big manoeuvre. Good manoeuvre. Oh, and there's a bit of contact as well with Glanville. So it was a big manoeuvre, good manoeuvre, and then went into a wrong manoeuvre. 3 wide up the main straight. So you better hold onto your hat at Duffy's Dip. Looks like Glanville just manages to get the overlap, but there's still 3 wide. And Morrison coming up on this one as well. So a little bit of contact, lift out the throttle a little bit, and look at what you have heading towards Duffy's Dip. This getting very close now, and it's round the outside for Morrison. What a fabulous drive from Stephen Morrison. He really capitalised on everybody else getting a little bit wrong at the hairpin, and somebody went over the top of Duffy's there completely on the lock stops. And yeah, we lost him. You can see him in the gravel at the back there. So that was a very good effort. Unfortunately, not the way to do it. But Glanville holds off Morrison just now. Then 24, Kyle Grant make their way up the back straight towards Clark Corner. So Emily Glanville, the first little bit of contact, she gets a dunt in the quarter panel from Kyle Grant. And Kyle Grant will be loving that one. But the steward's possibly not loving that one. We're looking at the back of 27. That's Tom Denham in towards the hairpin. And Tom Denham trying to fight off as much as he can just now up the inside, though Denham's left a big gap there. We saw what happened the last time. Denham very wide, and look at these two ahead. That's Dunn, isn't it? Ross Dunn in the 888 car, and Denham sweeps back across the nose, but Tom Denham, good run through the hairpin. They're a little bit wide on the way in, but they've got a good slingshot through. But we're talking about Ross Dunn and Kyle Grant having a good battle ahead. These cars all covered by next to nothing, with Ryan Smith still streaking away at the front with the waved yellow flags there at the top of Duffy's Dip, and that would be for Kieran Preedy's car, which we saw going off. There's Kieran there, backwards into the gravel trap, looking back at us unfortunately. Let's hope that that doesn't warrant a safety car as Denham, whoa, playing with fire there, young Tom. That could have ended horribly. Tom Denham gets away with that one. Up the back straight they go towards Clark Corner. There goes Smith, and Smith chased hard by Brunton. They are just the class of the field as Glanville with a nice drift into the corner. Don't want to do too much of that. You certainly don't want to be sliding as you hit the exit curb, because that is when it will bite you and you'll end up on the gravel or the grass on the inside, or even worse. As we get towards the hairpin, through comes our race leader. Car number 94, Ryan Smith, leads from car 13, Finlay Brunton, as we come up the main straight again past the flag marshal's post. Lights not on for Brunton yet. You'd imagine we might flick them on just to try and put Ryan Smith off his stride as Glanville and Morrison go past just now, and Grant and Dunn. Nobody else makes it through. Denham goes over the crest of the hill, and that was MacArthur as well following suit. And Finlay Brunton definitely catching Ryan Smith at the front and head of the field here. Ryan Smith is going to have to watch out. He had a big lead, but it's just ever so slightly been pegged away lap after lap, or corner after corner, rather than lap after lap, by Finlay Brunton. As they make their way through the chicane and up the back straight, we wait for Glanville and co, and here they come, bouncing through the chicane, trying not to use too much of the track on the exit and get caught out by the gravel. As we go through Clark Corner now, tricky weather conditions. Yeah, your first race meeting ever for some of these people, and you're racing in this at Knockhill. No pressure with the TV camera shining on you as well. It's number 7. MacArthur goes through there, and look at this. Is this a change of lead at the hairpin? Trying to go round the outside. That's not going to work, but there could be a cut back on the inside as they come through the corner here. Brunton trying it, but not able to do it. Smith covers that one and has that move well and truly in hand. As you go over the crest of the hill now, absolutely nothing between these two at the front, but then a big gap back, almost 3-4 seconds it's now, as Glanville under big pressure from Stephen Morrison. And side by side was Dunn and Grant as they went over the crest of the hill as well. Denham getting a grandstand view of that. And Greg MacArthur, our cameraman, also following in suit as we come in towards turn 3 McIntyre's. Oh, quickly into the corner goes Smith. Now, was that too fast? No. Just looked like he managed to dive towards the apex. Just a little bit quicker than Finlay Brunton as we go over the crest of the chicane. And that's Denham again, flirting with the very edge of the kerb and the gravel, where the gravel meets the kerb, and you don't want to drop a wheel into that because it can make the car turn sideways and left. Oh, Denham. Whoa, this is getting a bit lively. The track limits will be getting observed by race control. Clerk of the course, Steve Burns, will be very much aware of what's going on here as through. Oh, something's happened ahead there. Who's that off the road? A very, very big mistake. That's Emily Glanville. It's all going horribly wrong for Emily. Too much care, possibly the way through the corner, spits her back towards the inside, and that's a disaster for Emily as we come through the corner, up through the hairpin, up towards the flag marshal's point. Emily Glanville will be pretty upset about that manoeuvre. Didn't see any contact from where we were sitting. That was on, that's another thing altogether. We don't know, as Morrison now all alone in that third place. Glanville behind Greg MacArthur. So that's not how Emily will want this one to unfold as we go back on board inside the nice warm surroundings with Greg MacArthur as we go over the crest of the hill. That's 24, Kyle Grant. Tom Denham just ahead of Kyle Grant. Oh, Grant's breaking and going round the corner there. That almost got away from underneath him, but he managed to hold that one pretty well. Denham not going towards the end of the gravel trap this time, the edge of the track, should say. As we go up the main straight, Denham very, very energetically throwing the car through the chicane. But it's Ryan Smith now back at the front. He's got ahead of Finlay Brunton, so that's happened just out of camera shot. And Brunton back down to second place, and the man who's led almost every lap bar one, Ryan Smith, takes the front now as they head round towards the hairpin, going down the gearbox. Wiper still very much truly on. And back towards the heart of the corners. We make a little look back further through the shot to see if there's any overtaking manoeuvres, but Ryan Smith comes out of the hairpin and heads up towards a very well-deserved checker flag. The very first SMTA Citroen C1 Cup race is won by Ryan Smith. In second place, it's Finlay Brunton. Stephen Morrison comes home for a good third ahead of Ross Dunn. Tom Denham comes home in fifth with Kyle Grant. Greg MacArthur, our cameraman, and Emily Glanville. It went horribly wrong for Emily ahead of Glenn Alcock and Kenneth Dock. What a great first Citroen C1 Cup race.
I'm very frustrated Emily Glanville will be there in 80 positions, car 74, and then Glenn Alcock just exiting the hairpin now, car 79.
Third place then for Stephen Morrison in our first ever C1 race here at Knockhill. Talk us through it.
Well, I had a really bad start, as you can probably tell. I think I went back to 7th or 8th, but yeah, I kind of made it up. I'm really delighted to get a third. It was unexpected, to say the least, so yeah, I was very happy.
I was a bit apprehensive in the start of the race, obviously it being the first race in a car for me, and with Ryan in front I knew he was a very quick driver, he's very quick in go-karts, so I never got the best start and lost a position, managed to claim those back up into second, and I managed to close the gap on Ryan, made the pass and then went wide at McIntyre's and lost the place again, so I figured maybe I'm pushing a bit too hard, just calm myself down, better finish the car than not finish and end up getting no trophies, so really chuffed. Just looking to the next race now and hoping to kind of get the same result.
Ryan Smith, you're grinning like a little Cheshire cat. Well done, congratulations.
Thanks. It was a tough race. Finlay put the pressure on, but he made the mistake, so I managed to take advantage of that. Really happy to get the first win of the championship. Many good result for the team as well, so ideal.
Race number 2 for the SMT Citroen C1 Cup at Knockhill Racing Circuit. The weather conditions not any better, and after Ryan Smith taking victory in race number 1 from Finlay Brunton and Stephen Morrison, it was great to hear the top 3 on the podium. Ryan Smith, very, very cool as a cucumber, you could say. Enjoyed that one, and he's on pole from Brunton and Stephen Morrison, with Ross Dunn on the second row of the grid. Denham, Grant, MacArthur and Glanville will be out for revenge, with Glenn Alcock, Kenneth Dock and Kieran Preedy after that. Off at the top of Duffus, it's a big fast place to go missing, and unfortunately Preedy landed in the gravel trap at the bottom of Leslie's. Thankfully though, the car didn't look like it had any damage, it was still rubber side down. So here we go, the 5-second board goes out. The revs start to rise. Look towards the Beatson's Building Supply Bridge, the SMT Citroen C1 Cup race number 2. 5 full lights. Out they go and down towards Duffus Dip for the first time. Denham gets a good start alongside Grant. Kyle Grant will be trying to make a move here, and everybody with a good start. And looking at Grant MacArthur scything through the inside there. Ryan Smith with a bit of a dodgy start, to say the least. He's lost 5 positions as we go in towards Duffus Dip there, and the wiper still to come on our camera car. And I imagine that'll come on pretty quickly though, as we go through. Finlay Brunton leads away from Stephen Morrison, and then Ross Dunn, as they come down through. Butchers over the crest of the chicane for the first time of asking everybody though. More importantly, new drivers negotiating the first couple of corners and staying on track. Emily Glanville still way down the field, and we didn't quite find out what happened to Emily in that first race. A great shame there, but got to Clark Corner, then ended up on the inside. Still going forward though, so that wasn't too bad as they all make their way down towards Airpin. Glen Alcock there in car number 79. Man who behind Super Fast Scotland, and if you're on Facebook or any other social media, why not look for Super Fast Scots? It's a great website. And in towards the hairpin. Smith up the inside of Grant and makes that one stick. Ooh, Grant very close to getting a little tap from MacArthur there, but Greg MacArthur being very mannerable as the leaders cross the line. Morrison still with a good run going just now in second place over the crest of all these little C1s buzzing up the straight. Who's that coming through? That's Tom Denham underneath there in the Edinburgh College car. Jim will be happy with that one as they hit the brakes. Oh, back up the inside though, that's brave stuff. Side by side over the crest of Duffus Dip. Can they hold it? Yes they can. Denham toughs it out round the outside. Brilliant little bit of driving, and these C1s look like they've got pretty good road holding, as Tom Denham just uses a little bit more road than anybody going through McIntyre's, and has a bit of gravel as they come over the crest of the chicane, left and right. A little bit more care from MacArthur. Oh, Denham looks a little bit wayward ahead of us going through there, but yeah, in front of him, that's Kyle Grant even more out of shape as Brunton goes through, chased by Morrison, then Dunn, then Smith on the comeback trail here. Ryan Smith, race 1 winner. Not a good start there, so whether the car wasn't in first gear or the biting point just didn't feel right, or there was too much wheel spin, Ryan Smith will not be happy with that one. But at the hairpin, it's Finlay Brunton. What's going to happen here this time with Denham looking at it and say Denham looked like he locked up a little bit wide on the way through the corner. MacArthur slides through, he'll say thank you very much, but they're very mannerable, and Denham manages to get the good slingshot round the outside, and look at that, slow in, fast out, the advantage gained up the main straight. Got to say Greg MacArthur being just a little bit too nice. Other drivers would have wiped the nose off Denham, but Denham gets a good run through, and look at that, he's now thinking about the inside going into Duffus Dip, and that will be on Kyle Grant, and that's a big manoeuvre if he can make that one stick. But Ross Dunn coming under increasing pressure from Ryan Smith. Smith sends it, as the kids say these days, And that was a manoeuvre which was pretty much on from the word go, and he made that one stick, although Dunn was trying to come back going through the chicane, the entrance to the chicane. It's not really overtaking place. As we go up the back straight, then we look for everybody else coming through. Emily Glanville still off the back of Greg MacArthur, and Kieran Preedy still going, as is Glenn Alcock and Kenneth Dock, as we get the cars all streaming through Clark Corner in these tricky weather conditions. Got the spectators in the bank and fully laden up in wet weather gear there. In towards the apron comes car number 13. Young man, very tall young man though, Finlay Brunton. Squeezes himself inside that very small car ahead of Stephen Morrison. Up the main straight they go. Ryan Smith now into third place. We saw that manoeuvre happening at McIntyre's turn 3. And Ross Dunn looks like he's just settled for that fourth just now. And then it's Grant and Denham with MacArthur and Glanville all crossing the line. Glenn Alcock goes through. Another car run by a college, the West of Scotland car I should say. And up the inside again, that's his favourite overtaking manoeuvre. Ryan Smith goes past Stephen Morrison and he makes that one stick, and it's a good manoeuvre. Morrison back on the inside, they're side by side through Butchers, but nope, that will go towards Smith every day. Now, can Dunn get a good run through the chicane and capitalise on Morrison being just that little bit out of place in this SMTA Citroen C1 Cup race number 2? No, he can't. Ross Dunn tried it, but just not close enough to the back of Stephen Morrison as they head round towards the hairpin. But it's all about this man, Finlay Brunton, just stretching away at the front. The gap now 2.7 seconds, and it looks like it's grown over this last lap. Ryan Smith's now got himself into that second place, but has he made, well, is it too little too late for Ryan Smith? We've got to say that because, oh, he will be ruining that start when it just didn't work out for him up the main straight. That's a big gap in a one-make series. And he's got Morrison behind him, so Smith's going to have to work pretty hard here side by side. That was Denham and Grant again. Kyle Grant thinking about the inside of Tom Denham as they come in towards Duffy's Dip. Let's hope the camera picks it up. It does. Here we go. What's going to happen? Side by side, Grant will take that one. The car that's got the Apex tubular backing on it manages to slither over the top of Duffy's Dip in front. And Tom Denham will have to try another manoeuvre if he can a little bit later as the cars go through the chicane. Fabulous corner, that really is a fabulous corner. It's all about the landing. You've got to get the car to land absolutely perfect so you can get on the power and drag yourself up that back straight towards Clark Corner. The same with Clark Corner. You don't want to go in there with too much oversteer. The car goes sideways, snaps back on you, and it kills your momentum through and out the corner. And a very important corner, Clark, is because it leads onto a straight. And you don't want to be lame off that corner, otherwise you'll just get gobbled up heading down that straight towards the hairpin, where young Finlay Brunton, car number 13, strange number that. A lot of people try and stray away from 13, but Finlay's grasped it, and he is going to run with it. And look at this, he's leading race number 2 up the main straight. As we say, racing is in the family. Sister Hannah, a bit of a hot shoe on the side of a sidecar. So we go back on board with car number 7. This is Greg MacArthur. Best lap of the race for Greg, a 1:14.753. And the fastest lap so far goes to Ryan Smith at 1:13.8, and that's Glanville just glancing past up the inside. And it's about time Emily got a bit of a wriggle on. That first race was just a bit of a disaster, running so well then just making a little error. Trust me, I know just how easy it is to do in these conditions to make a mistake. Emily with a nice apex through McIntyre's there. Very, very tidy little driver is Emily. Promotes herself extremely well and does a lot of good driving on track as well as through Clark Corner. Ryan Smith starting to catch Finlay Brunton, and I think Finlay's controlling this rather than Ryan catching. Finlay's just backing off the pace just that little bit to some place where he's happy with, and it's still pretty hot. Smith is the fastest person on the circuit, but he's now circulating around about the same time as Brunton as they go through the hairpin. And we've seen catching's one thing, passing is another, but we have seen Ryan Smith do some pretty good passes in this race. As side by side, that was Grant and Denham way back in our shot behind Stephen Morrison and Ross Dunn, who come through the hairpin. And Denham still manages to hold it from Grant only just, and then Glanville and MacArthur coming up over the crest of the hill. Kieran Preedy further back down with Glenn Alcock and Kenneth Dock as we go through the top of Duffy's Dip. We're looking at car 31, Stephen Morrison, and Stephen comes in towards McIntyre's. He's getting a bit of pressure now from Ross Dunn in the 888 car. Always love 888 as a race number. Good choice, Ross. Well done, buddy. I like that one. And Ross Dunn, look at the style of Ross Dunn coming through the chicane. Climbs up the back straight towards Clark. So yeah, Stephen Morrison's going to have his wits about him here as they come into Clark Corner, where Glanville disappeared from race number 1, heading towards the hairpin. Still, car number 13 leads the way, and the gap 4.1 seconds last time through. In fact, it doesn't look like that now, but there's always a concertina effect on the brakes. It'll stretch it again on the exit of the corner, and Finlay Brunton will be just looking in his mirrors, just making sure he's getting every gear change absolutely pinpoint perfect, because if you miss a gear in these, it's so easy to lose a position. And that man there, Morrison, cannot afford any mistakes here, because Ross Dunn now all over him. And look at this, further back down, Emily Glanville all over Kyle Reid, and Greg MacArthur getting a bit of a grandstand view of this. Now what's going to happen here is that Grant going up the inside of Denham again. It is. Can that manoeuvre stick? Yes, it can. Glanville might be able to get a bit of a manoeuvre on here as well. Gonna have to watch, because MacArthur might go right round the outside here. There's a bit of grip round the outside of that corner, but no, everybody stays as was. Tom Denham manages to just hold on to that position as well. Only just though, just now, as they go through the chicane and up the back straight. This definitely turning out to be a bit of a special battle as they come through, and the battles for 4th place. Denham, Grant, Glanville and MacArthur as they head round towards the hairpin. The SMTA Citroen C1 Cup leader comes into the hairpin, and that once again Finlay Brunton from Ryan Smith, who looked further back down, just coming into our shot. We just missed it there. It was still Stephen Morrison as they come through then, the whole chain of 4 cars all together. And it's great to see when an overtaking manoeuvre happens, it really has a big effect at the end of the next big long main straight. So doing an overtaking these cars is one thing, but you know, you've got to plan it. You want to do it at certain places in the circuit. Ryan Smith has chose McIntyre as a great overtaking place, but let's forget about that just now, because we're on board with MacArthur, and that's Glanville. Look at this side by side again, Grant and Denham. Grant's further alongside. Denham's going to have to give that place up. Glanville tries to home in towards the back of Denham. Can Denham send it up the inside into McIntyre's? No. Glanville thinks about it, positions herself in the middle of the road, and MacArthur doing a cracking job just coming through here, just keeping it absolutely pinpoint in case there's a mistake ahead. They can capitalise as they go through the chicane. Glanville left and right, a big swing through the chicane there, and that really has helped MacArthur. The straighter line through the chicane. Glanville tries to squeeze, but up and along the inside. Glanville brave on the brakes. They're going to be side by side through Clark Corner, Glanville and MacArthur, and it's now going to be a power battle down towards the hairpin, but Glanville just gets a run round the outside, drives off the curb and manages to make that one stick. But look how that's hurt them both in that battle for 4th place. Side by side ahead of them further up the road goes Dunn and Denham. Not Dunn and Denham, Grant and Denham. So it split that battle, unfortunately. And Finlay Brunton's now put a big chunk of time into 2nd place man Ryan Smith. And oh, look at that, Ross Dunn also ahead of Stephen Morrison. So that's a change which has happened just out of our sight. We haven't seen that happening. Well in towards the closing stages of this race now. Oh, Morrison sideways in towards Duffy's Dip. Rips up all the turf. If that was a golf course, Clubhouse wouldn't be happy with that one. But there he is on the grass, on the inside. MacArthur goes past, and a great shame there, because Stephen Morrison was driving a brilliant race, just lost that on corner entry, sideways up over the apex curb. Thankfully the car didn't dig in, but then it did dig up a lot of grass and it slid down. And I would imagine he might get going from there if he can get off the wet, sodden grass, which we have. It's very, very wet here, and the grass will be soft and more than likely will sink there. A great shame for Stephen Morrison as we get towards the business end of the race for Finlay Brunton. It's been a pretty good show. Masterful, you could say, these conditions. He has owned this race from start to finish. It's a 4.5 second winning margin for car 13 Finlay Brunton. In 2nd place, Ryan Smith comes across the line, now race 1 winner. Ross Dunn comes home in the 888 car for a fine 3rd, and then it will be Denham, Grant, Glanville, MacArthur. Tready comes home in 8th this time with Alcock and Kenneth Dock, the last runner in 10th. The luck that Stephen Morrison didn't finish that one.
Third place, you must be fairly happy with it because it's been an awesome start to the C1 Championship.
Yeah, dead happy. Great race, nothing went wrong. And first race, so yeah, more than happy.
Now, you showed the pace that you had in the first race. Obviously, it was a bit of a rough start. You were further down the field, but you fairly tore through that field.
Yeah, first race, yeah, I got a great start. And unfortunately, there's a couple of people, I think it was Emily and Ryan went off before me, which allowed me to go up to fourth. So, yeah, can't complain.
Any plans for moving forward through the season?
Just try and keep it consistent. We're sharing the car this year, so that might affect the points, but we'll do what we can do. But no, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Others set with the podium this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a cracking race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit more eventful than the first one. I got an absolutely awful start. I think I dropped about 6th or 7th into turn 1. Made a few moves, got up in the second. I was working, catching Finlay, catching him, and then I dropped it with 2 laps to go. Had a bit of a half spin down the bottom. Had enough of a gap to keep second, but yeah, I'll take it.
Right, be honest, it's just me, you and the couple of hundred that are listening on Knockhill FM, right? When you come out the hairpin, are you jumping about in the seat trying to get some extra speed in that car?
I'm not gonna lie, I did try, but the belts were a bit tight for that. But yeah, I did actually try at one point, yeah. I think it's just a natural thing, you try your best and you do it.
What they lack in power, they make up for in excitement, don't they?
Oh yeah, they're great fun to drive. I mean, I can definitely say I was very impressed the first time I drove it. I didn't expect it to have so much grip through the bends. You can kind of just chuck it in and it goes. Yeah, they're great fun to race. That's the first chance I've really had to do some overtaking, so I really enjoyed that one. It's second, but I'll take it.
Finlay Brunton, yeah. And was just having a chat there. When you're coming out the hairpin, how much are you shouting at the car to just go?
I was actually quite worried when I first got in the car and I got to the holding area and I realised I actually had 3/4 of a tank of fuel. And I thought, I don't need that much. Surely there could be a bit less in there, but yeah, you really do. It's the hairpin's only gear change. You're down from 3rd into 2nd and then back up into 3rd again. And coming out there in 2nd gear, you're kind of, you want to jump about in your seat and really go out and push this thing yourself. But that's good.